Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas Plus. I am Gambhir. Imagine you head to the airport to catch a flight and end up being stranded at the airport for hours. As the aviation mayhem unfolded in different parts, the frustration, the anger only mounted, and the questions grew louder.
We also to behave from your side as well. I am a government officer, class 1 officer.
Air travel, after all, serves as a basic lifeline. Let me ask you this: how important is your office roster for you? Extremely important, right? It governs what time you get to work, your work hours, etc. So naturally, it is an integral part of your life. Now multiply that importance by hundreds or thousands. The roster of aircraft pilots impacts thousands of lives. So you can imagine the utter chaos that unfolds if there are any, say, roster-related issues, for example, which is what unfolded. If you or someone you know has been impacted by that flight chaos in India, one can imagine the frustration levels and what you have gone through. In fact, the frustration and anger has been visible all across, with passengers sloganeering, stranded, helplessly waiting for their wait to end. The aviation chaos across Indian airports unfolded, with hundreds of Indigo flight operations impacted, flyers stranded for hours across multiple airports, desperate passengers seen waiting at counters, luggage piled up, angry passengers seen questioning the Indigo ground staff, demanding answers.
All I'm saying, hey, I want printout. I don't want anything else. I want printout for my cancellation.
Online still your booking is going on.
With its fleet of over 400 aircraft, Indigo operates over 2,000 flights a day. Indigo alone accounts for roughly 60% of domestic passenger traffic. Even, say, a 10% flight cancellation rate, for example, would mean over 200 cancelled flights for Indigo, roughly. In contrast, the next biggest airline group, that's Air India, operates less than half the number of flights. Moreover, Indigo connects over 90 domestic, 45 international destinations on a daily basis. And the airline also has more high-volume nighttime flights as compared to its competitors. Indigo maintains its low-cost carrier model with a rather lean staffing model, which basically means that delays and cancellations can quickly have far-reaching impact. And so the disruptions meant thousands of passengers were left stranded for several hours at a stretch, with little clarity on alternatives. The crisis unfolded after Indigo reportedly failed to plan for new pilot flying time regulations, leaving travelers missing everything from their important engagements to family commitments to job interviews, for example, and even onward international connections in some cases, reportedly. And as the anger mounted, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, stepped in to grant Indigo temporary exemption from the stricter night duty rules for the pilots. And here's more context. Keeping aviation safety in mind, the DGCA basically had tightened the flight duty time limitations. Under the FDTL rules, the weekly rest period for pilots was increased to 48 hours from 36. Night landings limited to 2 from 6 earlier. This is learned to have impacted Indigo's crew rostering significantly. The norms also extended the definition of night hours by an hour, imposing additional constraints on the airline's operations. Under the norms, not more than 2 consecutive night duties allowed. The rules aimed at better tackling pilot fatigue, a key risk in aviation safety, but they also clashed with the winter schedules, also the pilot crunch, and overall technical issues. The revised DGCA FDTL rules were notified with immediate effect on May 31 last year. The Indian aviation regulator initially asked airlines that they are required to comply by June 1, 2024. But the implementation of the flight duty time limitations rules was deferred following pushback from Indigo and other airlines. And later, DGCA decided to roll out the norms in a phased manner. They were basically rolled out in 2 phases in July and November. And while Indigo managed the first phase, which included longer weekly rest periods for crew, without much impact, the second phase, requiring curtailed crew utilization levels for the red-eye flights, impacted Indigo a lot harder. Indigo has reportedly said that it will reduce its flight operations to minimize the disruption from December 8, while assuring that normalized operations will be fully restored by February 10 next year. Indigo has reportedly said that disruptions are due to misjudgment and planning gaps. Amid the flight disruptions, the airline has admitted reportedly that the actual crew requirement for new norms exceeded its anticipation. The airline has issued an apology to the passengers. It has assured that passengers will be informed about the change in flight status, reportedly. It has also said that it is working to reduce impact of disruptions and restore normalcy. As the anger boils over, big questions continue to hang in the air. Those not convinced by the apologies given, for example, continue to demand accountability answers. The question still is, who will make up for what the passengers had to go through? The trauma of being stranded, missing out on important engagements, for example, waiting for clarity. The Ministry of Civil Aviation has set up a 24/7 control room, issuing operational directives and launching a high-level inquiry. The government has constituted a 4-member committee to review the circumstances leading to the massive operational disruptions and also determine accountability and monitor the restoration steps. For now, the anger continues to boil over, with hope that the chaos ends sooner than later.